Father in heaven, tonight we ask you to come in our meeting, Father, as we do your will and do the business of the city, Father, that pleases you. We ask all that Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, in your packets you had the regular scheduled meeting from notes from the March 21st meeting.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so committee and department reports. Chamber. Anybody?
Nope.
Finance.
I don't have much other than we need to schedule the finance meeting.
Okay.
I'll deal with Brenda and the rest of the committee members decide on the date.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Fire.
Mayor and City Council, real quickly tonight, give you your property maintenance report for the month of March. Fire Department stats for March, we ran 214 EMS calls, 71 fire calls, totaling 285 calls for the month of March. The year total so far, 633 EMS calls, 168 fire calls, totaling 801 calls for the year. Tyler and I, Assistant Chief Roberts, did have a meeting with the architect contractor today in reference to the building of Station 2, and the completion date on that will hopefully be around the end of July. So hopefully it'll be in there sometime in August. That's really all depending on the weather, and we're getting down. And then the next 2 weeks is just be painting some drywall, and so once we get to that point, it's doors and hardware stuff. Really all timing on that, so.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of comments, I know other people have, I'm sure you have, about the east wall siding plan.
So I was debated about bringing that up because nobody's really brought that up to me. I did speak with the architect and the engineer both about that today, and we did go out there and look at it. So believe it or not, it is a shadowing issue. That is such a long span of metal, and there's no overhang on that east wall. There's no eave. And when the sun hits it just right, there's another building here in town we went and looked at, and it looks identical. It's only that way certain parts of the day it's shadowing from the sun. So, but we did bring that up this morning, Tyler and I did, and we actually drove out there after our meeting and actually looked at it, and they took us to the other facility also. So, yeah, it's that long span of metal. Is what it is, and the way the sun hits it.
What was the completion date in the contract originally?
Oh, we're within it. I can't remember specifically, Steve.
Okay,
but
so
we are
July is
definitely
within the contract.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
HR?
We're going to have a meeting, and I'd like to wait till the new council and the committees are assigned. We're going to be working on the idea of the different boards that are available, like we had talked about last time. So once we see the assignments of that, we'll get that lined up. That's all.
All right, you may.
We have been very busy, overwhelmed with dogs. We've had 4 that we know that have come from other towns. Actually, one came from Marmaduke and was dropped in our town. It's a continual problem. We can't find the owners, so we're just basically stuck. So we're trying to take care of Kennett. We also are getting bombarded with dogs that are not Kennett. We did reach out on social media and asked if we could get sponsorships for our dogs, which meant money raised toward a specific dog to get it groomed, taken care of. That way we could possibly make it more affordable for the rescues to want it, because they won't have to do the vetting or to adopt it legally. With them just have to pay for like vaccination. So far it's working. We managed to raise money for all the other two so far. So, and then if rescue does tag them before we are able to get them altered, a check will be cut. That'll go along with that dog to the rescue. So we will keep our word about the dog. So other than that, I just stay busy all the time. Does anyone have any questions?
How many dogs you got up there now?
37. So it's a lot of dogs and it's a lot of food. But we're surviving, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Police.
Mayor, council, I just have one item I need to bring up to the council. A couple meetings ago, you guys approved, go ahead and replace the patrol car that got totaled in the accident. I actually located one, from hold for us for the month of April. I've applied for a grant to help offset the cost of the car. I'm just waiting to hear from the grant to see if we get awarded. I asked the question today, if we go ahead and get the car now, does that keep us from getting the grant? Do we have to wait until after we're awarded? So I'm waiting on the answer to that question. Also, while I'm waiting on it, they do have a Dodge Charger there, same location, for $39,400. I do have a Charger I need to replace. I put the money in my equipment reserve to take care of the cost now.
Are you getting any money back from the insurance on that?
Not yet. I'm negotiating with them, after talking to Terry a little bit about it. They kind of lowballed us on the car.
So they're giving us,
They said 19 is what they're gonna get for the car. I felt like that's a pretty low offer. Found other cars that are comparable, the same mileage and everything, 25, 26. So I've asked them to review that and said they'll get back with me, maybe get some more money out of the car. Still have not heard from them, but they're supposed to pay off. Also, we'll get money back on the equipment that was inside the car, roughly about $17,000. But I've not got any of that money yet. But I do have enough in equipment reserve to go ahead and get the Charger now. And I'll wait to get, when I can locate 2 Ford Explorers and ask for those at that time. We'll look at it at that time, see where we're at on the budget.
if you have it in your reserve, and you're willing to do that, authorize that, I'm okay with that.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. That's all I have unless you have any questions.
How much did you say, Kenny?
39,472. Thank you.
How about our officer that was involved in the
He's
hospital now?
still in the hospital. He actually had to go back to the hospital, different complications, but he had to have surgery this week, but I don't think it's related to the accident. Something totally different. He's still laid up.
Thank you. Go ahead and combine street and stormwater.
Okay.
We're going to have, Keith, you want to be prepared to back me up on this. We're going to have a street department meeting on Thursday at 5:30. And then we're going to have a town hall style meeting.
And stormwater bill. And
Yes,
stormwater.
And stormwater, thank you. And at that meeting, we're going to discuss the concrete beds and possibly some of these ideas that we're going to have with Right Acres. But, so then at 6:30 will be a town hall style meeting with the people who live in Right Acres and have a discussion with them on what they pay for and what we as a city pay for. And see if, one of our issues right now is that there are several houses that are not in city limits. So we would like to have that issue resolved before we start putting asphalt down. And I believe, was that it right there?
Yes. Just update on the meetings. That's all we have.
All right, that's it.
That's it. Okay. All right, industrial?
Well, just a comment. At the last meeting, mentioned that one of the warehouse doors is open at the compress. At 5 o'clock today, it was still open. I think that needs to be secured for liability reasons.
I'm sorry,
Which
Randy, I'm
door
sorry,
is
where,
that?
where, yeah, where at?
On the Compress, on Floyd Street side.
There's a door that's open?
The walk-in door over there into where the cotton warehouse is wide open,
Oh, okay,
south side.
okay. We'll look at
Okay. See if we got it.
Yeah. Tyler and I'll take care
Okay. All right, senior citizen.
Nothing.
Hospital?
We're gonna have a meeting in, later this month, I believe it's April 11th, and we're going to discuss, working our way up to Jefferson City. The certificate of need for the current platinum group was, well, they have applied for it, and this is our opportunity to go and raise heck and try to get it stopped. And so, when we have that meeting, we're gonna discuss how we're gonna get there, who's gonna go, who's gonna speak, all that.
When's the meeting you just said?
May 1st. So we'll be looking at going up there on May 1st. And trying to change some people's minds. We've already sent them booklets of that Victor worked on, did actually. We've sent booklets up to all of the board members, have them on basically on the lies that we have been told, and showing where their electrical improvements are not so, and then the grass issue, all that stuff. So they've all got copies of that, so they should be well aware of some of our problems. So we're gonna try to get it together and see what they have to say.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, unfinished business. Approval of appointment of Josh Gopher to the Planning and Zoning Committee.
Motion.
Have a motion? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So that's approved. One of the issues that was brought up in the last one was to, instead of doing it all in one night, we've been doing it for 15 years, was to give the council time to talk to the person and everything else. And Mr. Cofer, how many council members contacted you over the last 2 weeks?
Have not.
All right, so since nobody took the initiative to do that, I would ask that recommendation comes off the floor.
It would refer to the Human Resources Committee that night.
Again, nobody contacted him, so I would say for previous mayors
Still gives us
to.
time to talk to citizens and get.
And then we're gonna rewrite some of that, suggestions you made, and others you made too, so it'll be dealt with in a reasonable manner, I believe.
Okay. All right, new business, approval of city statements, revenues and expenditures.
Make a motion.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, carries, city bank balances.
Make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, all right. Capital improvements, the approval of the ordinance for capital improvement, sales tax.
First reading, you all have a copy of the entire ordinance. An ordinance imposing a capital improvement sales tax of 1/4 of 1% and calling a special election in the city of Kennett, Missouri on the question of whether to impose said sales tax for the purpose of funding capital improvements. What this is, we've had a capital improvement sales tax of this particular tax for 20 years. It sunsets at 20 years for the end of this year, and this is just to keep that 1/4, 1% going, and it calls for the election on August the 8th.
So,
Are we approving the ordinance or we're approving it to be put on the ballot?
Approving, well, you're approving the ordinance,
Okay.
but you're also putting it on the ballot because it's not effective until approved by the voters.
Motion.
so we got a motion, we got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Second reading, an ordinance imposing a capital improvement sales tax of 1/4 of 1% and calling a special election in the city of Kennett, Missouri on the question of whether to impose said sales tax for the purpose of funding capital improvements.
Okay.
Aye.
It's got to be a motion
Motion.
first. Motion. Second motion, second, roll call.
Aye.
Yes.
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 Aye.
All carries. All right. Second is the safety ordinance.
Public safety, Mayor, I'd like to table the next two ordinances for the new council. We discussed this in the finance meeting, and we feel there's a great need to get the capital improvements passed, that tax passed, and we feel like at this time, we're not too sure that the citizens would vote for 2 or 3 taxations. Even though the marijuana tax would be is paid for by the people with marijuana. But we feel like there's a lot of doubt in the city about city government right now. And we feel like that it's very imperative that we pass the capital improvement sales tax. It would be approximately a $500,000 reduction in general operating expenses out of the general money for the budgets if that's not passed. So we would have significant reductions in the budgets, possibly layoffs, certainly reduced services. So I think I would rather see the safety and the marijuana tax addressed by the new council, to see the people that would be dealing with this, and see if they would want to risk the possibility of putting 2 or 3 taxes on.
You make that in a motion, I'll say.
Motion.
Say.
And there still would be time to get it on the August ballot, because that's not, the cutoff date's not till May 30.
Okay. All right, so we've got a motion and a second to table it. Does anybody want to continue it, or?
Call for the question.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right. All right. All right, mayor's report. As many of you know that it was in the paper last week. The city has been announced of awarding a $408,675 community revitalization grant. And this is going to help to clean up the old Prince Oil property. The future can be to market that as a possible, whether it's a convenience store or, make it marketable. Instead of what it is right now, it's not marketable. We'd like to thank the Pelt family for donating that property to the city, and being able to make, and Jan and Brenda worked lots of hours on getting this grant to go through, and between them and Tina, I know it was a late night one night burning midnight oil, and so getting all that in, but through their hard work and everything, the city has been awarded this, and that's going to help start the process for cleaning that up and making a property marketable or something in the future. Thank you to them, and thank you to the council for getting that approved to go through, and hopefully with all the semi-traffic, it'd be a great location for a convenience store that sells diesel. All right. Then today's a big day. It's vote day. If you did not get out and vote, shame on you. We've had, I think, last time I checked, 6,900 registered voters in the city of Kennett. At 10 minutes to 3, the number of voters was 796. So at that rate, I'm gonna flip a coin and say, somewhere around maybe 1,200 people. You're looking at 15 to 17% of the people that are registered to vote have gotten out and voted. I don't know, has anybody heard any of the latest numbers of how many came through? Did we reach 1,000? But I figured after 5 o'clock when people were getting off, it may have picked up. But it's still, for everybody out there, it's important to vote. So no matter when the time comes and the announcements are made, and then in 2 weeks from today, we do a change in the guard between, council, mayor seats and everything else, whoever is sitting in that seat, whether you like them or not, you still gotta support them because they've got a job for the next 2 or 4 years, to do. And, whether you want to be a hindrance or a help, depends on you and what you wanna do. And so hopefully what you're wanting to do is, you may have a difference of opinion, but you still wanna help. So being open-minded enough to hear their side of it, and them hopefully being open-minded enough to hear your side of it, is going to be the question. And so stepping up to the plate and, stepping forward to do something. And again, you don't have to be sitting up here to make a change here in Kennett. I worked on the St. Francis Street project for over 3.5 years, not on the council. But finally, I'm on the council. So it's, you don't have to, so you can go forward. We've got a good example with the Elsa's here for, they're working on, cleanup. And so it's,
We're just talking trash, that's all.
they're just talking trash.
Just talking trash.
So, one of the big things, I'd like to thank Mr. Dennis for bringing it up at the council meeting a month ago, that, as people started renewing their insurance rates and seeing their ISO ratings, for Kennett dropped, and the inadequate paperwork that was submitted, and then now that has been rectified by CLGW. So hopefully we'll see the difference in the ISO rating, hopefully improving over the next few months. We don't know if it's going to, but hopefully with the proper paperwork now being turned in, we can see that going on. But again, the big thing is today was an election day. And if you did not get out and vote, shame on you. You needed to. You had 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get out and do a absentee ballot if you thought you weren't going to be here. So unless you were laid up in a coma in the hospital, it'd be pretty hard not to have some sort of time where you could fill out a ballot. So stand up, have your voice heard, and go from there. So we look forward to our next couple of hours. Results will be coming in, and we'll go from there. So from that point, we'll open it up for public comment. 3, 2, 1.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, first question I have, is the new city code book amendable?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So it was, I was notified that we had a new code book that was adopted, and in that code book, the landlords are supposed to pay for trash. And I have written down, so I wouldn't get too far off track here, some examples. Councilman French, if I'm driving your truck and I'm speeding and I get pulled over, is it fair for you to get the speeding ticket? Okay. Councilman Hunter, if I'm driving down to the neighborhood and the cop's behind me and I throw my McDonald's bag out and the trash lands in your yard, should you get the ticket or should I get the ticket?
You should.
Okay. Well, Councilman Carter, if I see your golf cart sitting in the yard, it's been there for 2 weeks, I'm gonna come up and take it.
Can't have it because I don't have it.
I'm sorry. Theoretically, let's just play along. I'm gonna come take your golf cart. You're gonna call the police because I've just stolen your property, correct?
Probably.
Okay. These tenants that we deal with, they have that same mentality. Whether it's garbage bags or whatever it is, that's their grandmother's ashes from the Holocaust, and this is the clothes that she wore, or sitting on the front porch. They're gonna say, yeah. Now, what is that value on that stuff? That I had just trespassed on their property, and I've taken their property and I've done away with it. Once a tenant signs a lease or enters into a verbal agreement, they now assume all the rights of that homeowner. I can't go on their property, or it's trespassing. I can't take their property, or it's stealing. But yet, every day, I get letters stating that there's trash in this yard, there's rubbish in this yard, and I've got 2 weeks to get it taken care of, or I'm gonna be summoned with a ticket. People say, well, just add that $25 trash bill to the rent. Well, good luck. Because, one example, just the other day, I have started trying to do this. And just the other day, I went to pick up rent for $525. She paid me $400. I won't see that other $125. So now I have lost $100 on my rent, and I have lost a $25 trash bill. I have approximately 100 houses. Say $25 per house, I'm looking at a $2,500 trash bill. It seems, I'm not gonna say that it is, but it seems like the city didn't want to assume the financial responsibility for citywide trash, so now they're passing it on to somebody else, is what it appears. I was told that when the new code book was adopted, it was voted upon, and then it was said, oh, by the way, landlords are now responsible for trash.
That's not the way it
Okay,
is. So,
okay, then I won't go any further with that.
yeah, hang on a
Okay.
second.
There's two portions to that.
Yeah, there's two portions. The landlord's supposed to pay for the trash, but the citizen is supposed to take care of the yard and all that, and make sure the trash goes in the appropriate location. Now, I have a question for you. I want you to keep track of where you're at,
Okay.
but in your contract, do you have any clause that if they don't follow that contract, they will be removed from the property?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, how long does it take to evict an occupant?
The latest one I evicted, it took me 4 months.
Okay,
Every drain, every water line was damaged, every wire was cut, there was holes in every room in the sheetrock. The flooring that I put down, every room, they rip a hole in it.
and it took you 4 months?
And it
to
takes
get
4
them out?
months, yes, that's the process
Is that right?
yeah.
Or is it, okay.
Some of them leave peacefully, and some of them don't. And the latest one, it took me 4 months. 0 rent in those 4 months. And then at the moment, I'm on about a $3,500 bill repairing the house.
Now, I know you got some solutions for me, so I'm gonna quiet for a minute.
Okay. My question is, why are we enabling them? Why are we not holding them responsible? Why are you trying to hold me responsible for your trash? That goes back to those examples that I gave at the very beginning. If I throw my McDonald's sack out, is it my trash or is it your trash? Well, you just said it's my trash, but it's in your yard.
If somebody's following you, but if that bag ends up in the yard, then it goes back to the home, to whoever owns the yard.
Why, who owns it? Why not who lives there?
Same thing, they're
No,
responsible,
it's not the same thing. I have 100 properties that say different.
but they are responsible for that yard picking it up.
They are responsible. You're
The
correct.
tenant, yes, the tenant is responsible to maintain that yard.
You're correct.
In the home that they're living in.
That's all I'm asking for the council to do, is take it off of the homeowners, whether that's me or whether that's Ms. Sledge or Ms. Gardner. Why are you taking it, why are you putting it on the homeowner?
The priority is on the tenant with that current system.
Okay?
If the tenant does not do what they're supposed to do, then I would think, Terry, would that give them the option, if it was contractual, to go ahead and have them evicted?
Sure.
Okay, and so I understand it takes 4 months. And at that point, it would become the owner of the property's issue, okay? After, if the tenant left everything a mess. I keep going, because I want you, I have somebody that called me and said, I have a contract with my tenants, and if I have a problem with it, I call them or I go by and I tell them, if you want to stay in the property, then you have to do this and that. And she said she has no problems with it. Now, that may be a unique case, but she's got several properties. over a dozen. So,
My clientele, I'm on the lower end of the spectrum. And my